Okay.
All right. Hello, hello. Welcome to another edition, time of Colorado Pauper. Um, Apologies in advance. My cat, we just came back from vacation and my cat is super needy right now. So if you hear meowing in the background, that's my cat.
It's me.
It's
Okay.
also
That
Rob.
that's good. Yeah.
It'll, the more guttural ones are obviously my cat. And I would
Yeah,
say the more
100%.
high-pitched ones are probably going to be you.
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, I really like to keep it conversational. Like I kind of like a call and response between me and the cat, and I know that they can't like hear me, but I feel like on a spiritual level, like they probably can.
I actually read a study from a Japanese university that cats do hear you. Like they
Hmm.
hear literally everything you say, but only about 50% of the time do they care.
Well, honestly, for people listening to what I have to say, I feel like that's like better than average. So
I would
I
agree.
appreciate the
I
cat.
would agree for me as well. All right, well, we haven't introduced ourselves yet. But as you can see under the little nameplate underneath my face, my name is Arash. Started this channel maybe a little over a month ago, just to sort of go over our local games and to cover the brewing challenge that we're currently in. And with me today is Rob. Rob, do you have anything
Yeah.
to say for yourself?
About myself, I'm Rob. I've been playing the game for a long time. Couldn't tell you how long that is, but also been playing a lot of Pauper and been really enjoying seeing all the really awesome brews that people have been bringing to local Pauper events here in Colorado. But also just seeing how the Pauper community here is evolving as we get more and more players, and has been growing at that too is even more exciting. There's the cat. That wasn't me. So now that you have that
Oh,
for
there's
reference,
video
you can
evidence that this isn't you. Unfortunate, really.
Man, that's unfortunate. Really could have got me on the hook. But no, just excited to watch some Pauper games with you.
Nice. Yeah. Did you know that someone on our Discord channel, the Denver Discord channel, said that you have a very smooth operator-esque voice? And what do you
Okay.
say to those allegations?
Um, can't confirm or deny. Beauty's in the eye of the beholder, but not in the ears. So don't know where that's coming from, but I appreciate all the compliments as we discussed last time in the last video. I'm very handsome. So to know that I also have a great voice, you guys are really building me up here. I appreciate all that and keep it coming.
What's it like just having a good voice, a good body, and a good heart?
Yeah, I don't know. I think that's like 95% white privilege and just how people look at our society. But, it's neither here nor there. I'll take what I can, I guess. So I'll just say good, maybe undeserved, or, I didn't do anything for this. So, yeah,
I
great to
guess you
be,
maintained it though.
yeah, that's true. That's true. In the United States and being a white human, here we are. Who would have thought?
All right, I'm gonna start the footage.
That's good. That's good before this goes crazy.
So this is actually a 3-0 match for the day. Usually for Mythic, if you get the first place person gets a little treat. Um, they usually like set aside some cards for you. Sometimes they vary a little bit in like value, but I think that this one was for Utah monitors? Question
Okay.
mark? Or a
Those are pretty
Spellstutter
expensive.
Sprite? Something like
That's
that.
also very expensive.
Yeah. I forget exactly what it was, but the matchup that we're looking at, on the left-hand side here, you will have Buster on Spy, and then on the right-hand side, we're gonna have Xander on Dimir Spirits, Dimir Eidolons, Dimir,
Hmm.
like that one modern age deck that like plays Shipyard Sifters. Have you seen this deck before?
Well, why don't you give me a little bit of a rundown? Because I feel like I'm struggling with the cards.
Sure. So it plays the blue and the black Eidolons. And
Hmm.
then it plays a lot of gold cards. Namely, the big one is like Dahada's Ploy. Um, and then it also plays Sneaky Snacker, obviously. Um, Agony Warp, I guess. And then it sort of like Shipyard Shifters. It says like every time that um, whenever you discard a spirit, it gets +1/+1. So it has like a
Oof.
pretty bad interpreted dance of a spirit mascot, kind of.
Okay. Hmm.
Um, And then it plays a lot of just like draw. I mean, it plays like foil. It plays like modern age, and it plays just like a bunch of discarded draw. Um, I
Okay.
faced this week, that week. I faced. Can you hear her? She's not happy.
I thought that
Sorry. I'm trying to pet her because she's like pretty sad. She like wants to be in this room, but she
mm,
also does not want to be in this room.
that's a
Um,
cat. That's
yeah.
definitely how cats work.
I was playing that control deck this week, and I faced
Mm,
both Dimir Spirits players, and it's such a bad
mm,
matchup for control. Or
mm.
my variant of control, I guess.
Yeah, because it seems like they're probably getting a lot of value from taking cards back from the graveyard, back to the battlefield, back to hand, and that sort of stuff, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And also, I just didn't have a lot of exile removal, so the snackers got to me eventually. But it
Mm,
looks like we're getting
gotcha.
ready to play. I didn't quite see who got first player. Did you happen to catch that?
No, but I'm sure we'll find out here very shortly as some hopefully lands hit the battlefield. But I guess when
Yeah.
we're talking about spy, you never know.
It looks like Xander's hand is mostly islands. And Buster's gonna take
Buster's hand.
the. Yeah, it's gonna mulligan.
Yeah, it looks like maybe not having the right density or mix of spells that they need, or the ability to get the lands out of their deck that they want. I think it's all maybe a Mesmeric Fiend main deck in
Yeah.
there. But yeah, the Spy deck does this really interesting kind of song and dance where you are one trying to get all the lands out of your deck so that you can cast Balustrade Spy, mill yourself out, and then try and Dread Return out a Lotleth Giant to kill your opponent. But
Hmm.
also within that point to get there, you do need to have the right density of cards to actually get those lands out of your deck. Some lists play four, some lists play five. I'm interested to see what Buster's on here, especially when they're going to be facing this, which sounds like a little more slow, a little more progressive controlling deck.
Hmm.
They probably want to be in a position where they can cast some of their five drops. So
Oh, it looks like
keeping
Buster went to five. Sorry to interrupt.
no, no. I think
Um,
yeah, going to five here at the spy deck mulligans pretty well, so
yeah.
could definitely do some good work on five.
Oh, it looks like maybe Xander also went to five. Oh, okay. And then sort of like you're saying here, Buster plays a swamp, which is the wrong land. But looking at his hand, it is really nice. Plays a land grant here to find a forest, and he's off to the races. Um, I assume the next turn he's going to play this forest, play the Wall of Roots, and then activate it to play Sagu. That's what I would do.
Yeah, I think that'd be a very smart line. Just
Yeah.
try and go as fast as possible, and then hopefully maybe even sneaking out this winding way if Xander tries to tap out. But no, it
Yeah.
seems like Buster's going to go for your play here, opting for something much safer, playing that Wall of Roots, and
Oh
then
wow, he doesn't. Maybe he has a Ant in hand. Interesting.
yeah, interesting that they would do that. I would, yeah, maybe they have a cycler or something else, but
Yeah.
yeah, I would think that they would go and try and utilize what's face up information wise, but
Yeah.
probably have something else to do with this mana.
I agree. And on the other side, Xander here just plays an island out, and Swamp Cycle is a troll. Troll actually not usually a cycler that you see in these blue decks. Luring Revealed is a premium there. So pretty cool that he's playing it. Looks like he draws another land. And I imagine either Modern Age here or just a pass. What do you think?
Yeah, I kind of like slamming the modern age here just so that you can get some more of the cards that you need. I realistically, now that Buster has three different mana sources,
Hmm.
it's going to be hard to deny him from going for these different cyclers or utilizing anything that he gets off the top to get the other lands out of the deck.
Hmm.
So trying to develop your own game plan is probably where I would go, but at the same time, can completely understand wanting to hold up some interaction.
Yeah, for sure. I agree with that. And I imagine that Buster, having played the Sagu here for a land, is going to play this Winding Way, unless one of these other cards is like calling his name.
If he does go for
Oh,
that
maybe it's a
winding way,
Lead the Stampede.
three mana.
Okay.
Okay. Lead the Stampede it is. So he's going to look at top couple cards of his library here. I believe it's five, and then
Hmm.
put any creatures into his hand that he finds. Looks like he found an Elves of Deep Shadow and one other card there.
It looks like it. Oh, I don't know what those are. It's kind of hard to tell, honestly. Oh, Mass
Yeah,
Vandal,
but
Mass
find
Vandal.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
So finds another creature, not the greatest hit off of Lead the Stampede. You would ideally want something that advances your game plan a little bit better, but
Hmm.
doesn't hit it, that's okay. Gotta keep things moving forward. And now we're seeing Xander start to do what his deck is designed to do, where he plays that Modern Age, ETBs, draw, discard, discards that Enigma Eidolon, so the blue Eidolon. For those who
Hmm.
don't know, whenever you play a multicolored spell, you can return that from your graveyard to your hand, and that's how he creates a lot of his value. So he's starting to get his engine online.
Hmm. Exactly right. But the big question, and I think you asked it in the earlier edition, is just a casual two mana draw three.
Okay, yeah, Winding Way turning out better than Lead the Stampede, at least in this situation.
Yeah. But I guess going back to your question, like, is this too slow for the spy? Because if you look at Buster's hand, this is good. There, it's happening next turn. Basically, I think he
Hmm.
need one way of he needs to find one more land and like two more creatures. But
Hmm.
gotta imagine that this Eidolon deck is a snuff out deck.
Yeah, that's what I am curious about. Just looking up some lists here, I'm seeing a lot of cast downs and then hard cast removal spells. But if there are snuff outs here, that would definitely help Xander's case and allow them to tap out a little more freely. We see Buster committing to the board here, so putting some mana dorks on board.
Yeah,
And notably for the combo, executing that from Spy, you do need three creatures at least on the battlefield to sacrifice to Dread Return. So there is a world where Xander can have enough removal spells to ultimately fight through that Dread Return.
yeah.
But we'll see how they go about this. It looks like they're finding a lot of lands from these draws and discards. And okay, going for an abandoned attachments here. It is a multicolor card, so they're going to trigger their Eidolon and get that back in a moment.
And
But
then
before
discard
we
it.
get
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, and then discards it to the same card. A nice
hmm,
little interaction there, to say the least.
yeah. Similar to the like Return to Past sort of Boros way of doing things, but yeah. Um,
It's
ask me
like
to
having
read the spy.
yeah, reading the spy here. If I'm in Xander's seat, regardless of what interaction have in my hand, if it isn't Snuff Out, I'm representing Counterspell all day. I want to
Ah,
make sure that my opponent doesn't go for it next turn. And if Buster does decide to put Balustrade Spy on the stack, I don't know that I'm seeing much in Xander's hand that can deal with it, but he doesn't need to telegraph that to the opponent here. So needs to keep an iron will and a
yeah.
face of steel as he goes into this next turn for Buster.
And looks like that's exactly what he does. I imagine if I'm Buster here, I'm probably just playing the Avenging Hunter, which is an expensive cultivate, but also is kind of a counterspell check here.
Yeah, and it puts the pressure on Xander to actually respond to it,
Yeah,
because this is the beauty of the spy deck. I feel is that as soon as your opponent knows that you have that balustrade spy in hand, the game completely changes, and you put the pressure on your opponent mentally as a spy player to say, at any time, I can end this game. And so the beauty of it is that you can do that whenever you want. You have control of putting the game in that position, and oftentimes it's even more advantageous just to put big creatures on the battlefield and say, okay, well, you could counter this 5/4 that's going to give me the initiative, or then I'm more likely to go for it each turn and just kind of run your opponent, bleed them out of interaction.
that's exactly right. Yeah, it is kind of like a very tough question that the spy deck asks. And looks like both players are playing the way that we sort of predicted. Xander holding up interaction and um, Buster playing the initiative. As I said, this initiative does get the fourth land out of his deck. Um,
Yeah, very
so it
important.
does open up that spy, unless he's playing five lands. But I kind of doubt most decks are on four these days.
Yeah, if
Um,
anything, I see the fifth land in the sideboard for grindier matchups or land destruction matchups, but
yeah,
seems like this is where he needs to be with
yeah,
those
I
four
agree.
lands.
And one of the things that I really like about Spy is that you do just generally win game one.
Mm.
It's just, and that's
Yeah,
nice. It's just
yeah,
nice
that's always
sometimes. All right, let's see what happens here. Agony
okay.
Warping. Hmm, interesting. Okay, go to kill the wall of roots. I quite like that. I think that's smart.
Okay. Yeah, Wall of Roots
Ooh.
can be very powerful in that it's tougher to kill, tougher to go through, can produce a lot of mana, and ultimately it could cast a Convoke spell, but probably not in this format. Either way, having that Agony Warp in hand as a piece of interaction from Xander, I imagine they wanted a counterspell or just something else to not allow this Avenging Hunter to resolve, because they're in a pretty tough position here,
Hmm.
and it feels like you can see it in their body language as he's having a good think and going to be flipping this modern age, making a 2/3 flyer, which can get back the initiative. He is going to get hit for five from
Hmm.
Buster, but that 2/3 will allow Xander to at least stop that initiative from going as crazy as it could in
Not this
uncontested.
turn.
Yeah, notably not this turn though.
Yeah. So we'll get a little bit of initiative value prior to being able to like really deal with it. I wonder, this is a tough spot for Xander because you're kind of being beat on two different avenues.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
And the power of Avenging Hunter here, I think, in full force, where as soon as it hits the battlefield, the game is now changed on two different axes, where there is a 5/4 in play that will end the game in 4 turns, or
Hmm.
you are going to just inevitably initiative you out. But we see Xander casting what I believe is an Entropic, or that's not an Entropic Idol.
No,
Is
it's
that
a
the other?
Hellmongrel.
Oh, a Hellmonger. Okay, so
Yeah,
this
yeah.
is a good discard engine. It allows Xander to discard his spirits to ultimately pump that Hellmonger.
Yes, but I think that this kind of just opens up the door for Buster to win the game. Because even
Yes.
if you have the snuff out, unless you have two snuff outs, you're not gonna be able to stop this.
Hmm.
So, oh, and it looks like Buster goes for the scry. That's very interesting.
Yeah.
That kind of makes
Regardless,
me feel like there's five lands in this deck.
I could see that. I mean, I think we'll see that play out rather soon here, as there's not really a good reason that Buster has to hold that Balustrade Spy in hand. I imagine he's going to be casting that and just putting his opponent to the test as if they're tapped out. And
Hmm.
as you said, he's going to need two snuff outs to actually do anything here. But yeah,
With
plays
his
a
Lotus
Lotus Petal for me.
Petal, he can play another creature. I think he can play the Mass Vandal for no value, right? And then just have five creatures, so even two snuff outs doesn't do it.
Yeah, it's a
Obviously,
very.
Xander could have three snuff outs.
It's true. He could. Pretty unlikely, but he definitely could.
That's very true.
And we
Looks
see, I
like
think, Buster considering that exact play that you were talking about here.
I think you always start with a spy because the only time that they have to snuff out is right now with a spy trigger on the stack. So if they don't snuff out now, you just win the game.
Yep. And he says you can look through my deck,
Hmm.
and he wants to confirm that there's a Lotless Giant in there, there's a Dread Return, that there's no lands. And we're seeing Buster pull out the requisite combo pieces. There's a
Hmm.
Lotless Giant. I believe that's a Dread Return next to that Lotus Petal. And it looks like he's going to go for the win here. Now, Buster could, or I guess Xander could have a foil now that I'm thinking about it,
Oh
correct?
yeah, I did not think about that.
And
It doesn't
tapping
look
out.
like they do.
No, looks like they're going to be sweeping up the cards here. Yeah, I'm just doing a quick
Yeah.
confirmation. No lands left in the deck, but let's see what they have. So they had a couple Mesmeric Fiends on Buster's side here, opting to play the Elves of Deep Shadow.
Hmm.
And I'm seeing, I think, one Axebane Guardian, if I think I saw that
That's pretty
correctly.
stockish. There's a guy
Okay,
named Aswordy who um is like the best Moto spy player, and I think that this is probably just a one-to-one copy
gotcha, gotcha.
of that
So
deck,
we're
which
playing
I
a
also
pretty,
do when I play spy, for what it's worth.
yeah, just copy the best player at the deck that there is. Why not? You
Yeah,
know?
yep, that's what I always
But
say.
we do see Buster pick
Sorry, you broke up there for a second.
the. Oh, we saw Buster pick that game up there.
Hmm.
Xander didn't have any interaction on the other side, and again, if there was a foil, if there was some snuff outs, maybe there was some more game to play. But I think we saw kind of one interesting thing here that we were talking about initially, which is that this Spirits deck is a little more dirtily. It wants to
Hmm.
be creating incremental value, so it does devote a lot of slots Although it is a blue-black deck, it devotes a lot of slots to the actual engine of the deck, and so has a little bit less interaction than some traditional blue-black decks that we would see. All
Hmm.
that being said, we can see at least 4 to 5 cards that Xander is going to be bringing into this game
For sure.
to fight back against the spy deck. And now I'm interested to see what Buster is going to do. Did he put all 15 of his cards in there, or does he just have a specific sideboard plan?
I kind of think that he might have put the 15 cards in there. Now, my big question for Buster is if he's going to go into the like pivot into a more mid-rangey plan, maybe like bring in the fifth land, um, bring in some of the like more grindy cards. Like sometimes they play Chrysalis in the sideboard, sometimes they play um more hunters in the sideboard, and maybe more mesmeric fiends. I like mesmeric fiend actually a fair amount in this matchup,
Hmm.
because you do need it for the combo turn. Um,
Yes.
but yeah, very interested in seeing what route Buster takes. I really like
Yeah.
Spy as a deck. I find it. I know that there's a lot of non games or whatever, but it's a really fun deck to play and to mulligan with, in my opinion.
Yeah, there's more decisions to be made in the deck than it would initially appear, and I think especially when we're talking about sideboard decisions, what you take out and what game plan that you have opens up even more avenues for choices. He could have a complete sideboard juke here. All
Yeah,
that being said, I think a lot of the cards that I saw him pull out there were the traditional ones that we would see that are kind of like your life gain cards or the ones that are fighting on different matchups. But I imagine if he had more Mesmeric Fiends in the sideboard, he's going to be bringing them in. I also imagine that if I was in his position and I knew that he was playing against a blue-black deck, the interaction that I would expect to see from my opponent is Fairy Macabre, Nihil Spellbomb, and Bajuka Bog. And if we're thinking that our opponent has a Nihil Spellbomb, then if I'm Buster, I'm probably just going to hedge my bets, bring in some Masked Vandals, just because if we're in a position where there's a Nihil Spellbomb stopping us from going off,
yeah.
well, we have some good draws that can deal with that.
I agree with you completely, and I think that I'm pretty sure Buster plays four Vandals main, three to four
Okay,
Vandals main. But yeah, if you
gotcha.
have any additional ones in the sideboard, you I would definitely bring them in.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, that leaves us over on Xander's side. I'm really interested to see what he is doing to fight this spy menace on the other side of the battlefield here. And,
Hmm.
just pulling up some of the lists online that can give us some examples of what Dimir Spirits is doing. So we also see some of their pieces like Sneaky Snackers are in the decks. We saw that Modern Age. But in terms of interaction, I'm seeing some decks are playing foil, some decks are playing a mix of Agony Warp and Cast Down. Not a lot of snuff outs in these lists, which is interesting to me.
Oh, really?
But yeah, just from the list that I've pulled up here, we do see from some of the lists here that I pulled up some Bajuka Bog's main deck, which are definitely going to help out Xander, along with some Contaminated Aquifers and
Hmm.
uh, Demure Aqueducts, rather. That's the one I was going to say, to bounce those Bajuka Bogs back. Pajuka Bog, unfortunately, is not the best in this matchup. You really want
No.
that instant speed exile effect to ensure that when your opponent goes for the combo, that's when you can exile their library. But leaving a Nihil Spellbomb on the battlefield is when your opponent, and I imagine Xander being an experienced player, knows that his opponent's going to have some Mass Vandals on the other side, you need to really pick your spots wisely where you put that on the battlefield.
I agree with that. A lot of times I was like siding out Mass Vandals just because I was used to elves, and I was thinking like, okay, well, Mass Vandals when your elves are completely useless. Sorry, once again, I'm sorry. My cat is having very strong opinions right now.
And opinions are give me attention now.
Which I'm trying to do. I'm trying to play both sides here, failing
Yeah.
at both a little bit. But yes, when I'm playing Spy, it was a hard lesson to learn that you have to keep the Mass Vandals in because they usually have either Relic or Nile Spellbomb, and you really want them to have Nile Spellbomb, and it makes more sense for them to have Nile Spellbomb.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, it's tough either way. Looks like
Yeah, and
both players
frankly,
took a mulligan.
yeah, I was looking at Xander's hand, and it looks like, yes, it had some pieces to play upon, but it didn't seem to have the cards that he would need to
Hmm.
reasonably fight the spy deck. And now we look at his hand. I think I see at least 2 lands, a Modern Age in there. I think I saw a Sneaky Snacker if I was uh, looking correctly here. But yeah, we'll see. Okay. Xander putting one back, Buster putting one back, and Xander's on the play, so we'll
Yep.
see how fast he can get out of the gates here.
Do these decks you normally play counterspell?
The list I'm looking at right now does not. However, I'm looking at some other lists, and really I see foil over counterspell. I think foil trying to capitalize off of discarding the Eidolon, so
Hmm.
not a lot of the actual card counterspell to go around in these lists.
I played it. I played against the matchup twice that week. So, oh, Modern Age turn two. Okay.
Okay,
And looks like Buster starts off with just a forest.
okay. So slower start from Buster,
Hmm.
similar start from Xander. Xander does discard that Entropic Eidolon, so they're starting to play on that axis. Buster is going to go ahead and cycle that Generous Scent, get the Forest out of his deck,
Hmm. Hmm.
and he's moving his game plan forward as well.
All right, I'm gonna let this cat out.
Sounds good. Yeah. If I'm in Xander's position, getting that Modern Age down and not seeing like a Mana Dork on turn one or something explosive from Buster's side, I feel a little bit better about where I'm at. I think, again, just knowing the nature of Xander's deck, this Modern Age has a lot of work to do to draw and kind of discard doing these looting effects to where he can sculpt an interactive game plan. Really, I think what's going to come down here is when that's going to be important is when Xander can commit some power and toughness to the board to actually start swinging into his opponent.
Hmm.
Getting something down like that Shipwreck Sifters, which is way harder to say than I thought it would, is going to be really important. Being a 2-drop that can grow whenever a spear card, whenever he discards a spear card. But yeah, he's going to have to get that online pretty quick if he's going to want to pressure Buster at this game.
Oh, I like this play. Just exiling the Modern Age, and we have a camera shift, but that's nice because we get to see the life totals now.
Oh, there you go. Very good point. Yeah, I think I like that play too. Just it kind of puts Xander to the test, and that's just as I was saying, that Modern Age has a lot of work to do. Well, now can't do anything, and
Hmm.
we're putting creatures on the board as a spy deck, so things to think about, try and work through here on Xander's side.
Yep. Just an abandoned attachments into a sneaky snacker. Never bad.
Class. Yeah, putting that 2-1 on board. He's presenting the 10 turn clock, so it
Hmm.
starts now.
But this is actually perfect in a control deck and kind of like what you want Snacker to actually be, right? Like just a piece that blocks and attacks while you have like control magic up in a Dimir deck. I
Mhm.
think that that's like good, actually.
Yep, I agree. I agree.
Um, just getting
And
in here with the Vandal. Sorry, you were gonna say something?
yeah, I was just thinking that Buster committing that Vandal on turn two just means that his game plan is a little bit slower here. And
Hmm.
being on the draw, kind of that's, I think, the position that you have to think about ahead of the game is how aggressive do I want to be in trying to go for the combo. I kind of like that, taking that slower route. Now putting some pressure on the board with the Fairy Vandal on the other, or with the Sneaky Snacker rather on the other side.
For
We
sure.
see him responding with that. What is that wall called again?
Overgrown Battlement.
Overgrown Battlement. Yeah, so that can make a lot of mana, and it can threaten to make a lot of mana next turn too if we get into that position. If Buster has some more walls.
Yep, yep. Currently only making one mana, but obviously going to scale really fast. I do see a
Mhm.
foil in Zender's hand, so he's fairly combo proof. Unless I also see a Mass Vandal in Buster's hand. So interesting to think about the counterplays here. But looks like
Yeah,
Buster's stuck on lands, just has dorks, but nothing
yeah.
else to show for it really.
Playing that Overgrown Battlement, so now can make 2 mana from it as it produces a green for each wall that you have. Now plays a Wall of Roots. Okay, so we're starting to put a lot of mana on board, a lot of creatures
Oh,
on board, and see if he has another 1 mana play
yeah.
off of
He
this.
has a Cerulean Caretaker. Okay, nice. So he has a lot of mana generation up now.
Okay. See the Mass Vandal come in. We did see that Mesmeric Fiend in hand from Buster, so I imagine he's gonna have to take a look. But he's gonna take a look at Xander's hand soon
Hmm.
enough. But he doesn't have to commit that until he's going for the combo here, or we see that he has that infamous 5/4 that could go ahead and give him the initiative.
Although not super great in this particular hand, just because they do have They do have a sneaky snacker. But
Very true.
oh, here we see the shipyard sifters. That is harder. That is harder than you would imagine.
Yeah, shipwreck sifters. That's a combination of words. All right, I don't know why they decided to do that, but that is what it is.
Oh, interesting that he didn't discard the Eidolon. He discarded a swamp.
That is very true. I'd imagine he would want to do that. A shipwreck sifters does grow whenever one of those eidolons hits the graveyard,
Maybe he's holding
but
in a hand for the foil. I don't know.
yeah, that does make sense to me. And okay, here's a Tormod's Crypt coming out from Xander. That is very impactful. Also, not necessarily where you want to play it. Um, because the kind of tension that you have with a card like this is that for as long as it remains on the battlefield, that's just one more turn that Buster could find another Mass Vandal to blow it up.
Mm-hmm.
And we know that he has one in hand here. So
Does
let's
he?
see if
I
this
didn't think he
progress.
did. He had a mesmeric fiend, right?
Yeah, I think he's a Mesmeric Green and the Mass Vandal if I
Oh,
see
okay.
correctly, but I could have not seen correctly for sure. And this Winding Way turns up some pretty good hits here
Oh
as we
yeah,
see.
I saw the flash of one there.
There
Okay,
you
yeah, he
go.
does have that.
Yeah, so that Tormod's Crypt can exile the graveyard. We know that Buster has the answer for it, but he needs to put one more creature in the graveyard to exile to that Masked Vandal before it can do its exiling effect,
And
which I
at
can't
least two
imagine
more
is too
lands, right?
difficult to pick.
Ah, you broke up for a second there.
Okay, I think we're back. I can now
Okay,
hear
sweet.
you.
All right, cool. I'll edit that out.
Okay.
All right. Well, welcome back, Rob. Sorry for that brief interruption. But yeah, last thing I said was he needs to also find two more lands. So here I do think that I would play at least the Avenging Hunter as a glorified cultivate.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And it also puts the counterspell test on the stack because you
Hmm.
really don't want to let this Avenging Hunter resolve if you're Xander, but he's just going to give the thumbs up. We know that he has the interaction here, so he's really trying to play safe. But I guess at the same time, he does have that sneaky snacker on the battlefield, so he can get the initiative back himself.
Hmm.
But opening up that swamp to hit the battlefield does not put Xander in a great position as Buster is only one land away of being able to combo.
For sure. And I wonder if he has interaction for the Avenging Hunter, because that's the only real thing that can punch through here, right? So if you have like a cast down, you just kill the Avenging Hunter, get the initiative, you're sort of sitting pretty if you're Xander. Um, just interesting, just because there's only one other attacker. There's only the Mass Vandal and the Sifters or whatever you call them can deal with that. Okay,
Yeah.
but not taking any chances. Buster here plays the Mesmeric Fiend. Usually you hold that for the combo turn, but I guess you just really want to like keep the initiative going here, right?
Yeah. And we'll see how Xander responds. Okay, cycling troll
Oh, for an
now.
island to foil.
I
Oh, this
see.
is
I
what
see.
you're foiling. Okay.
Okay. Well, I guess in Xander's mind, he has to do something here. If the Mesmeric Fiend hits the battlefield, it's not going to resolve either way. But
Yeah.
yeah.
What is the third card? That's the card that Xander's protecting. Is it so important?
Yeah, I'm curious about what that is. As we see the foil here, it is going to grow the sifters, which is
Mm-hmm.
nice. But we did commit, and this is kind of the bad part about foil here, is we did commit a lot of resources to counter this Mesmeric Fiend, which Xander knows is going to be a test spell either way. It's not the big thing that you want to counter, so still a lot of pressure here on Xander's side to try and produce something. But he does have that Eidolon in the graveyard, so can start making some incremental value.
For sure. For sure. Very interesting spot. Maybe Xander just feels pretty safe with this Tormod's Crypt, but I don't know that I would. Getting
Don't feel
another Sifters here. I mean, this is quite the board. It can like profitably block the Avenging Hunter, kind of, right?
that's
Five
true.
toughness that he's putting up in front of it.
Yeah, he's going to get the initiative here. Again, thinking about what the last card in his hand could be, we saw him draw and discard an island there on Xander's
Mm-hmm.
side. We know there's not a ton going on, at least in that capacity, but these sifters are starting to grow, and we see him find another swamp here.
Hmm.
So, good amount of mana, but there's still a lot of work to be done, to say the least.
Well, you can just attack with a Vandal. Oh, well, the Vengeance Hunter grows. Oh, duh, obviously. I wonder who you put if you scry here, or if you, you can put, I don't know. Interesting position for Buster here, because I don't know if you scry or if you pump the Vandal. Either way, I think that you can grab the initiative between the Vandal um and the Avenging Hunter, but you gotta imagine that they have a interaction spell just because they sandbagged the foil. They foiled the Mesmeric Beam, sorry.
Yes,
Real
yes.
words escaping me.
Well, we see more creatures hitting the battlefield there with another battlement as Buster goes for another lead to Stampede here. We'll see if he
Hmm.
gets any
Gets a
good hits
Sagu.
off. Okay, the Saga is very important here because that's going to be the fourth land out of his deck, and then he can really start to represent that combo whenever he wants to.
He can
And
combo
okay,
right now, really.
yeah, and I believe Xander knows about the spy in his hand already from the first Winding Way.
For sure.
So he knows he's in a tough position, and realistically, Buster has enough.
I think Buster can do it all here. This is really bad for Xander, right? I mean, the only thing saving him here is the Tormod script, but as you showed, as you talked about it, he has the Mass Vandal in hand. So if he just sequences this correctly, then
Mhm.
it should be fine.
Yeah, especially leaning so hard on one card here. You know, Buster again doesn't have to go for it. He could also just put the Balustrade Spy on the battlefield and point it at Xander if he wanted to, just to put more power and toughness. But I can't imagine that's what we're going to be doing here. But really, he doesn't have to move if he doesn't want to, which is a good position to be in if you're the spy player.
Well, I do think that actually, I don't know. I guess I agree with you. I think that I would attack the Vandal here as well. There's no reason not to.
Yeah, I guess they could go for a double block onto it.
Yeah, and keep the initiative. That's what, yeah, but okay, doesn't really matter, I guess. Um, I do think that the game is slowly slipping away from you if you're Buster. You sort of do want to win. These sifters are going to get bigger. This sneaky snacker is going to be annoying. You do sort of need to close the game a little bit.
That's
Um,
fair. That's fair.
and Xander only has one card. I don't know. I guess it's a little tough because, yeah, I don't know. I would probably just, oh, well, this is a
Interesting.
mistake
Yeah, going for that balustrade.
because there's just a Tormod script on the board. And Xander, you see, just does it. And Buster, I think, realizes what he did and just forgot to play the Vandal. That's tough.
Yeah, that is tough.
So had
Yeah,
the
that's
win, went for it. You can see in his movements, he's like a little bit. Hopefully, that's not going to tilt him too much.
yeah. The win was there on board. Just all he needed to do was play that mass vandal and the game's
Sequencer.
over. But
Yeah.
yeah, just missed that. But he I think did have the right idea of going for it on that turn. As you said, you convinced me. You got me to come back around there, as Xander was leaning on that one card and just had it wrapped up. Said sure,
Yep.
flip the deck, and we're moving on to game three.
Just to like, talk more about that, I guess. Like, I think that since you can do two Dread returns, the only thing that they can really counterspell in that section, or interact with you, really is fighting on the stack with the like countering the Balustrade Spy. And if they do that to the Balustrade Spy, then like, so what? Like you haven't
Yeah,
lost anything really. You've just sort of like got a spell countered. So it's pretty safe to combo there. Um, I think because you don't get got by one removal spell either. But obviously, I don't know. It's easy to miss a Tormod script, right? Like it's just sort of there on the side. You don't see it during the game. You're not thinking about it. You're focused on your game plan, and then unfortunate though.
Yeah, unfortunate, but regardless, I think just seeing how this matchup plays out, the spy deck does feel pretty good. Spirits plans start to come online there. It was only on turn like 4 or 5 there where it really started to seem like it was going to get a little scary. So we'll see how that
Yeah,
pans out this.
I agree with you. And you broke up a little bit, but I assume that you just mean that the spy deck is actually fairly favored, which I agree with.
Yes, yes, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree with myself.
Okay. And then looks like Buster took a mulligan, and Xander is considering doing the same.
Hmm. Yeah, needs to keep something proactive here. He's going to be on the draw, which we saw how that played out game 1.
Yeah.
So want to have something that can go quicker here. I think ideally putting like a shipwreck sifters down on the table on turn 2. Um, there's unfortunately not a lot of 1 mana plays that this deck has access to from what I'm seeing. So it's a pretty slow, grindy way to go. But at the same time, I think that if we can get a sifters on the battlefield pretty early, that it can be a great way to start to put the pressure onto the spy player and try and tempo the game out.
Yeah, I agree with you. And interesting to see that Buster's keeping these hunters in. I don't know if I agree with that.
Tell me your reasoning. What do you think?
Well, you don't have any flyers. It's a control deck with Sneaky Snacker. And the deck
Hmm.
is like tuned around Sneaky Snacker, so I guess I'm a little worried. It seems like he's keeping four. I'm a little worried about like losing because you resolve the initiative and then they take the initiative and then they're just a control deck with a lot of different with initiative. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, that's very true. It can become a liability pretty quickly here, especially if Xander has a way to get rid of the Avenging Hunter. But this is an interesting decision from Busser keeping this hand.
Hmm.
Interesting in the way that I think I would too. But what he's decided to do here is ultimately really lean on a winding way resolving and having a straight path to a balustrade spy on turn 4 if he wanted to. So he kept forest spy um, with this. Oh, remind me what this card is again here on the battlefield.
Overgrown. Oh, sorry. It's the gatekeeper one.
Gatecreeper
Gatekeeper
Vine.
creeper vine. Yeah, I
Yeah,
like this
yeah.
card.
Yeah, me too. And
Oh,
that gets a land out of your deck. The land grant gets a land out of your deck. So Buster kept a hand where he could present the combo on turn 4.
yeah. It
And
needs one more
so
creature, but you have a winding way, so it's like fine
exactly, yeah. You can probably do that. A lot of the creature or a lot of cards in his deck are creatures. In fact, more than half.
for sure.
So pretty strong keep.
All right, just going for the abandoned attachments here. Opening the door for the winding way to resolve. Pretty big deal.
Hmm.
You just need to
Yeah,
hit basically any creature here, and then you're like kind of good. Oh, okay. Battlement.
that's a good
Interesting.
one.
Yeah,
Represents a lot of mana. I'm curious if it would have made more sense to go for the winding way, but I can see wanting to put the battlement down on the battlefield now because one way that you can lose the game without really doesn't seem so obvious is just not having enough creatures on the board quick
for sure.
enough to where your opponent can kind of just 1-for-1 you off of having that critical mass, so you can never really go for the dread return, and that does come a lot when you are facing a control deck like Xander is. So I can see
Agreed
the play for
fully.
the Battlement here.
Interesting. Just double swap here. Very, very bad mana base. Ooh, wow. Last rites. He actually got me with this one as well. So you
Mhm.
get to discard as many cards as you want. Um, and when you discard that many cards from opponent.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I'm reading the text on the card here.
Yeah.
Yeah, reading the text on the card here for last rites and it says sorcery, 2 and a black, discard any number of cards from your hand. Target player reveals his or her hand, then you choose a non-land card from it. for each card discarded this way, that player discards those cards. So can definitely discard a lot of cards, and
Yeah.
woof, that was pretty backbreaking if you're in Buster's position.
Yeah, Buster had the win there. I mean, probably potentially had the foil, right, or whatever, but just
Mhm.
had so much mana. The last rights also actually kind of screwed me up when he played it against me. He
Mm.
when I was playing a control deck, he just discarded 7 cards or whatever, however many real cards I
Wow.
had in my hand, and looks like he drew the foil. So now you
Okay.
have, so now this is going to be a very uphill battle for Buster. I don't really see as long as Xander just plays this tight. I think that they're they're doing well. Discards a swamp, but doesn't play a land.
Mhm.
Oh, but they have a contaminated aquifer in hand, so they need the island in hand. Although, well, I guess like you do instant lose to a spy off the top without the foil up.
Mhm. And okay, Xander, yeah, making
Oh,
sure that he's not making any critical errors here. Got that sifters on the battlefield. We saw Buster put another Gate Creeper Vine on the battlefield. Notably, he declined to search for another land, so we know that he's playing only with 4 basics in deck. And yeah, Xander, okay, he's going to discard that island, which probably means that, yeah, he's got the ability to get another one back into hand here for his foil, but
hmm.
can't imagine he's feeling too scared. However, one Balustrade Spy does end the game if he
For
has
sure.
no counterplay.
But you just sort of have to hold up this foil the entire game and just. Oh wow, and a Tormod's Crypt. Okay.
Okay, yeah. So sitting pretty to say the least, and
Yeah.
just another mana dork for Buster and a passing of the turn. So I gotta imagine you feel like you're in the driver's seat if you're in Xander's position.
But yeah, as I was saying, Xander discarded my entire hand with last rights and then proceeded to win the game.
Seems pretty powerful.
Yeah, it seems pretty good.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm also looking at lists here, and I'm seeing that only is like a one of in a lot of these lists. So,
yeah,
but man, that card is devastating.
when it happens, it definitely happens. But this is, I mean, you obviously play the Avenging Hunter here, and it looks like Xander's considering the foil. Um, going to get the foil, going to foil the Avenging Hunter. I think that that's fine. I don't know. I think that it's probably. Oh, gonna play the Hellhound here with the foil. That's pretty sick.
Oh yeah, love the madness on that Hellhound coming
Yeah.
back, Mongrel coming back to the battlefield.
I don't know if I would. This is. I don't know that I would discard this. Foil this Avenging Hunter. I guess maybe you don't have any removal.
Yeah, kind of a tough position in that if he has more interaction on the stack, that's great, but maybe he feels pretty safe behind this Tormod's Crypt.
I guess that's
But
fair.
I guess, yeah, the Avenging Hunter is a meaningful threat in terms of power and toughness, but
Hmm.
the Xander could just kind of win in the air, so it's not necessary to say the least. As we've seen, put a Modern Age on the battlefield, going to be discarding a Spirit here, growing
Hmm.
his Sifters, and yeah, he can start attacking with those if he wants to, although there's plenty of defenders on the ground to soak
But you
up
need to
this.
get through them eventually, you know?
Yeah, like,
There's no actual threat to the Hellmongrel, so you may as well get in, right? Like,
hmm.
okay, and it looks like Buster's just drawing the wrong side of the deck here. Um, and potentially, I think, may have drawn another foil,
Interesting. Well,
but
that
probably
makes
not since he discarded this island.
yeah, putting that ice tunnel in the graveyard, that would have been what he needed for the foil, but okay, just slamming another Modern Age says, let's get this
Hmm.
game over with. Finds a sneaky snacker, I believe, off that drawn discard effect. So, yeah,
Hmm.
he's representing a clock here that Buster really has no response to.
No, it seems pretty doomed. It seems pretty doomed.
Okay, Mesmeric Fiend
Just
sees
an
an island.
island.
Well, the island stays in hand.
Yeah.
But, interestingly, that does mean that Buster has a sequence of draws where he could win the game over the course of 2 turns. Like, I guess actually he has a good amount of mana. He
Hmm.
could draw like a Winding Way, hit a Masked Vandal, and a Balustrade Spy, and then he just wins. There's
That's
no
true.
response that Xander has to that. So he's actually very much in this game, seeing that Xander has very little in his hand to respond to.
Yeah, I agree.
When we see
But
the
needs
body
to do
line,
it now.
yeah, it needs to be now, and
Okay,
that's a pretty good one.
that is a good
Seeing
one.
Generous End hits the battlefield
I mean, two
that
Hell
blocks
Mongrels
very
though.
well.
That's like pretty bad. I mean, the good thing about the Hell Mongrels here is that you have the O5s to block them, and then they need to discard 2 cards to kill them. I don't know. I guess you have 3 cards, so there's not too much. Yeah, I still put this in favor of Xander, but this Ent definitely a lifesaver. Oh wow, it shifted again. I need to figure that out.
Well, we get a better bird's eye view of the battlefield here. I think he might have missed his Modern Age trigger there to flip it to make it
I
a
think that's
2/3.
true.
Yeah, which is rather consequential, frankly, when his opponent's at 6 and he's trying to swing in. We'll
Yeah.
see if it comes up. We did see Xander, I believe, draw another land, so not a lot going on in his hand, unfortunately.
Oh, catches
But
it, catches it.
yeah, remembers the trigger now, but it seems like maybe we're too far past that point
No,
where
I think
I
it's a
don't.
detrimental trigger, so you can forget it. Um, and it's up to Buster whether he wants to give it to him or not.
Well, we see the creatures coming in.
Yep.
Here's 5 attackers, and only one of your blockers is meaningfully putting power and toughness in front and blocking profitably. So,
Mm-hmm.
see 4 damage go through. Gonna be putting Buster down to 2.
It doesn't look like Xander's discarding any cards, letting the mongrels just bounce.
Buster does have 2 mana to crack the food, so gonna go up back to 5. But yeah, he needs like a winding way now.
Yeah, another mesmeric fiend, just all islands. Why
Oh,
wouldn't you discard 2 of those and kill the wall of brutes?
yeah, maybe keeping them for draw discard effects, but either way, with the way that Buster drew over that sequence there, doesn't it's gonna
Doesn't
matter
really
too
matter. Yeah, you can see Buster not super happy here.
Yeah, I wouldn't be if I was in his position either, especially thinking about game two, how that kind of slipped away from him. Um, and then, yeah, getting last rights, getting absolutely, well, all the cards getting chunked out of his hand at one time. It's not a card that you think or a play that you think is going to happen, but when it hits you to say the least.
Yeah. This Eidolon, strangely, this is the drain one, right? It drains you?
The Enigma or the Tropic Eidolon?
Yeah. Okay, so it does
Yeah.
discard the 2 islands here now.
Okay. Love that. Discard the 2 Eidolons. Being able to trade a little more effectively here. Yeah, the Entropic Eidolon has 4 black. He can sacrifice it. Target player loses 1 life, and you gain 1 life. So a
Okay.
little bit of burn coming out of this blue-black deck. The Axebane Guardian hitting the battlefield from Buster. I mean, this
I think it's
generous
gonna be
end
a.
is big.
His generous set is the only thing keeping him in the game. You have to
Yeah,
block everything here, I think.
yeah, I think so too.
You definitely have to block the Hellmongrels. I guess you block one Hellmongrel here with an. Okay, is he just thinking or scooping? Because he's
Uh,
thinking.
Looks like he's thinking here. I mean, again, there are still avenues to win the game, but the time in which he can do it is coming to a close pretty quick here.
This seems fine. Yeah, this seems fine.
Yeah, so we'll see when
That
the
battlement should be dead. Okay, it is dead.
battlement is dead, and then we bounce everything else. Buster's at 3, a virtual 2, knowing that Xander can hit him with the Entropic Eidolon.
Yeah.
Let's see what Buster has on top here. It's got to be something good.
Really want to see another Sagu. Another Ent would be huge.
Yeah, he's having a think about it.
Okay, just
Passes the
passes.
turn. Okay,
What
he
could
could
it
be
be then?
representing something, or yeah, could be something maybe that he would be able to cast it, but
Ooh,
yeah, I'm
okay.
interested to see what this is.
Well, oh, okay, never mind. I would have potentially attacked here. Well, I don't know. I probably would have actually sacked the Eidolon, played the guy.
Yeah. Okay. Last right. So it's a Lotus Petal. Okay. Just
Yeah.
trying to bluff something, represent it. Xander's going to turn everything sideways here,
Hmm.
and realistically, anything that gets through is going to end the game
The
because he can
Eidolon
sack.
could have ended the game here
That's very true. If he,
if he didn't play last rites. Yeah, if he didn't play last rites, the Eidolon would have just ended it, right? But that, yeah, yeah, just ends in the end regardless. All right, interesting game, interesting game. All right,
here we are.
um, an interesting match, and actually, honestly, a really good set of three games that we had. I know that this one is much later than the other ones, but yeah, I thought that I always really like Spy versus Blue decks. It's not a given, but it's like a very big give and take on either side, and it's a huge game for just knowledge checks, which I'm a huge
Yeah.
fan of. One of the big reasons that I like Spy is for these like
Yeah.
knowledge check games.
Yeah. And if your opponent is not very proficient at playing, or hasn't got a lot of reps, I should say, against playing against Spy,
Hmm.
they can kind of be caught off guard for the fact that you have real creatures in your deck. They can just be playing around the combo entirely. And very powerful showing from the Dimir Spirits deck from Xander on game three there. Yeah,
Hmm.
that last rites was just so devastating against the Spy opponent there. And frankly, then we can see what his deck could do after that, where he got that Shipwreck Sifters down on the battlefield. Didn't really get very pumped up, but he was still able to just say, I'm going to outvalue you now because my value engine is much better than yours. I'm drawing, 2, 3 cards a turn, especially if I'm putting these sneaky stackers on the battlefield and stuff like that.
Hmm.
His deck can kind of take over from there and do the classic control thing, which just says, this game might only look like it's going to end in 10 turns because I have 2 power on the battlefield, but I also have 7 cards in hand and you have 0. So the game is effectively over. And yeah,
Yeah,
Xander did something pretty cool there at the game three.
I agree with that. I will say, like, without that last rights, he definitely would have lost. Did not had it
Exactly.
basically had an uncontested spy otherwise. So last rights also looked really good against me. I think it's a worthwhile sideboard card for sure. And I agree
Yeah.
with you. Very cool to see Dimir Spirits doing well. They got the 3-0 that this night, so that's like pretty cool as well. Um, yeah, very interesting how like local meta sort of evolve. All right, my cat is telling me that I need to go. My computer is overheating. Thank you so much for joining me today, Rob, and for finishing off the series. And to all the people, all the 40s of you that watched these, thank you so much. And also, sorry for the technical difficulties and for this meowing cat.
I don't think we need to apologize for the meowing cat. Okay, that's just added value. That gets those 40 viewers to 50 viewers. That's just how things progress.
It's
But
true.
anyway.
I should tag it as like cat ASMR.
Yeah, I think it was added value, frankly.
All right, well, tell us in the comments. Was it added value?
Got him farm that engagement. That's what cats are for.
100%. 100%. All right, I'll see you.
Yeah, bye everyone.
Bye.